You know, it really doesn't seem like it's been 2 weeks since I started the time-lapse series on the channel here, at least every Friday, but well, I guess time flies when you're having fun. So welcome to the next video for the Friday time-lapse. And we're going to be making a little more of a complex image in this one. And if you guys like the complex image I'm going to make, it's actually going to be a Batman silhouette. But if you guys do like the fact that it is more complex, definitely let me know in the comment box below. And I'll start to really ramp up the complexity of the time lapses in the future, because obviously the more complex it is, the longer the video is going to be. So just bear in mind, this one's a little bit longer than some of the other ones that I've made. So yeah, this one's going to be 3 simple colors: black, silver, and white. I've already applied all the black that I'm going to need for the entire silhouette, because that's the background color, so that really comes in handy. And just working on the silver part next. There's a lot of really long lines in this silhouette here, so I kind of have to be really careful. You're seeing me use the paper image as much as I can to know exactly where to put down whatever I need to. So I'm going to be lining that up a lot of times. Sometimes I can just push the piece right through the paper hole that I cut it out of. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's working out pretty well for this time lapse. So working on the larger piece down there and making sure that it's all working on there. A lot of the spots on the side here are bordering each other, like the white and the gray, as you can see there, so I have to kind of overlap a little bit and kind of keep that in mind when I'm making them, because if they don't overlap, then it's going to be a gap in between, and you don't really want that when you are making your time lapses or your silhouettes. So I gotta be real careful I'm doing that. So doing all the gray here at once. After that, I'll be working on the white, which you're going to see here. A lot of little white pieces in here, not quite as many as some of the other silhouettes that you've seen on the channel before, but there are a decent amount. So I'm very carefully cutting out all those little pieces. This is definitely the longest part of the video, is cutting out all those little white pieces. That paper piece of the Batman is kind of getting a little beat up, but I got to keep that as long as I can, because that's going to be my only, lifeline to making the silhouette. So I got to be really careful with that, because if I rip it, I have to either tape it back up or just work with it from there. So working on that little circle, or that shadow of the circle for his belt, utility belt. That's the trick about silhouettes. They look really great, even though there's only a few little pieces to give you an idea of reference points. So that's a great thing about silhouettes, and this one was a very well done silhouette. So cutting out the major piece there on the side, that's going to give a lot of the definition to the Batman that I'm making. And I did use some packaging tape for this one. I haven't used it in the tutorial, in the time lapse yet, but this is the first time. So now working on that other edge, and you can see that's the part I had to be careful with, because that's the white part that's going to border the gray part, which you can see in the upper left hand corner. So I gotta be really careful, and of course peeling this off is always a little bit tricky. You always want to make sure that it did come off nice and clean. So you got that whole piece right there, and very carefully going to peel that up, because it's very thin, and if I just rip it right up, it's going to come out in like 6 different pieces. So I got to be real careful, and had a little bit of sticky adhesive showing there, so I decided to peel that off. And here's the tricky part, is applying it so that it goes right up against that gray part, as you can see. But it took it took actually about a minute, but it's sped up so fast. It's about 4 times faster than it should be, so it didn't look like it was a minute at all, which is, I'm thankful for that. So cutting out the logo on his chest right now, and nothing too much to say about that. Now you can really see that paper piece really start to get beat up from all the cutting that I'm doing. Cutting out all those little pieces, his nose, his eyes, a few little reference points in there, and then I will eventually be cutting out the left side of his horns on there, or his ears, where it should be. And you can't really see them at all, but they're eventually just going to appear out of the white tape there. The bottom of the bat's tail, the point actually got stuck on there, so you can see it right there, so I have to reapply it once I put the whole logo on. So just clicking that on, then the little tiny tail, which you can see there, kind of funny. Anyway, so working on the other little pieces, you're going to start to see those appear, and I'm using that reference guide to know exactly where to put them. you can more or less just guess, and you're going to see me guess like on that one, and you can always take it off and reapply it. With the silhouettes, it's more or less just kind of, you know, it's not really set in stone. You can move them around, you can make them a little bit different than the actual picture, but with this one's a little bit different, so I want to make it a little bit as precise as I could to the actual paper image. So working on the eyes, you're really starting to see the Batman face take shape here, and it's giving me an idea of where to put the other ear there. Now I got to work on the right side of his cape there and kind of give some definition to that pretty soon. So I'm going to work on that piece there, and then those two other small little reference pieces in there, and then eventually that long white strip will be next. So cut out that piece and that piece and that piece. Sticking it back on, finding out exactly where to put it. This one actually did get stuck in the paper, as you can see there, so I kind of had to push it through and make sure it got stuck on the painting instead. That happens sometimes. Now it's working on the larger image here. Decided not to do it on that other one there because I didn't want to, you know, conflict with the other cutouts I'd done, so I printed out a new strip and cutting that out. This also has to border the gray, so I gotta be careful on that. And this time lapse is almost totally complete. So hopefully you guys like the time lapse. Like I said, if you guys want more complex ones in the future, make sure you tell me in the comments, and then you can see the awesome Batman silhouette there. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Catch you guys next time on the channel.